The U.S. is in shock after two explosions near the finish line of the Boston Marathon killed at least 3 people and wounded dozens more. The FBI says it's coordinating what it has described as a potential terrorist investigation into the explosions. The Boston police force says its officers are working round the clock and all rest days have been canceled. Security has been stepped up in a number of cities across the United States, including New York and Washington. The Boston Marathon is the oldest annual marathon and was first run in 1897. Thousands of people take part every year, and the finish line is in the heart of the city.
As crowds cheered and runners ran, this was the moment that halted Boston's famous marathon. Screams from the crowd soon drowned out by a second explosion, 100 metres away and just moments later. Thousands had crammed onto the side of the road to watch the final stages of the race. Many were hit by shrapnel. Blood soaked the pavements. Limbs and lives were lost.
It looked like an IED from Afghanistan. I mean, there was one guy lying there with his leg blown off at his thigh. There's another one with a foot blown off. There was the worst one was a little boy whose mother was holding on to him, but he was obviously expired.
I mean, there were just families all around us with kids, I mean, yelling and screaming, and I mean, we just wanted to try and get away as quick as possible.
Everybody started running the other way. There were a few people that were running over towards them to help out the injured, and there were some really bad injuries.
Witnesses say spectators could be seen crying and consoling each other as the emergency services arrived. Dr. Peter Fagenholz of Massachusetts General Hospital has spoken to reporters, and he described the kinds of injuries his team is treating.
There's a lot of small metal debris. Some people have asked already about whether these were BBs or they were parts of bombs, and I just don't think we're able to say whether these are small bits of metal that were placed there intentionally or whether they were just part of the environment that were involved in the blast. It's really too early to say how everybody is going to do.
How long will it take? How long will this process continue with the 8 critical? Are we talking about hours, or are we talking about...
A number of patients will require repeat operations tomorrow and serial operations over the next couple of days. So as I mentioned, a lot of the injuries are combined. They're combined bony and soft tissue and vascular injuries, and they have to be approached oftentimes in kind of a stepwise fashion.
Scores of wounded were initially treated at the tents set up to help exhausted runners, but medics there quickly had to adjust and deal with far more serious injuries, including lost limbs. Ambulances, fire trucks and dozens of police vehicles converged on the area. An initial fear was that more explosions could follow.
We were in the VIP seating. There was watching across the street. We saw the first bomb go off. People, blow up in the streets and on the one further down.
They were banged up bad. Severe lacerations, amputees, a lot of shrapnel. You know, they were pretty big explosions. They were banged, a lot of blood everywhere.
Boston's main hospitals quickly triggered their emergency routines to cope with the injured, with cell phone systems cut by the police deliberately so as to prevent a possible remote control triggering of any further devices. Contact between separated families was difficult.
The race was stopped at mid-route. Thousands of people pushed through the streets as the streets were closed off behind them. Bostonians were told this afternoon not to come out, to stay in their homes and avoid crowds. And the investigation began immediately while security was heightened across the country.
I saw the first explosion happen, and there was some commotion. I saw fire and smoke, and I didn't know what it was. And then from about me to where that gentleman is standing over there, I saw a trash can explode, and people started throwing down the barricade and running over each other, and I ran in the other direction as fast as I could.
This footage was taken by one of the runners as she finished the race, but ended up capturing her view of the chaos. As well as those killed, more than 140 were hurt, at least 17 critically. Medics on hand to treat dehydration and exhaustion had to tend to horrific blast injuries instead.
I saw one guy with his legs gone at the knees, some ankles and feet missing, shrapnel wounds on people on the sides of the head, and other things. It's just not good.
The worst civilian casualties Boston has seen, according to one doctor. Another compared what he'd seen to a war zone.
So this is like a bomb explosion that we hear about in the news in Baghdad or Israel or some other tragic space in the world. Yeah.
And you were trained for that here, just in case.
Absolutely.
Get out of the zone. Get out of the zone. Move your camera.
Police in Boston, New York and Washington went on heightened alert as more devices were reportedly found. The skies above the city were temporarily closed. The cell phone network shut down.
We still do not know who did this or why. And people shouldn't jump to conclusions before we have all the facts. But make no mistake, we will get to the bottom of this. And we will find out who did this. We'll find out why they did this. Any responsible individuals, any responsible groups will feel the full weight of justice. Today is a holiday in Massachusetts, Patriots' Day. It's a day that celebrates the free and fiercely independent spirit that this great American city of Boston has reflected from the earliest days of our nation. And it's a day that draws the world to Boston's streets in a spirit of friendly competition. Boston is a tough and resilient town, so are its people. I'm supremely confident that Bostonians will pull together, take care of each other, and move forward as one proud city, and as they do, the American people will be with them every single step of the way. You should anticipate that as we get more information, our teams will provide you briefings. We're still in the investigation stage at this point, but I just want to reiterate, we will find out who did this, and we will hold them accountable.
President also announcing this earlier as expected. Other major cities across the nation are not taking any chances. Law enforcement in Washington, D.C., in New York, and San Francisco are in a heightened state of alert. Police in Los Angeles implemented extra security measures at Dodger Stadium for Monday's game against the San Diego Padres. And Miami-Dade police officials say they've increased security in areas with critical infrastructures.
And in London, officials there are also watching what happened in Boston very closely, especially those who are in charge of Sunday's London Marathon. That's the world's biggest. The event attracts 500,000 spectators each year. The chief executive of the London Marathon, Nick Biddle, said today was a very sad day for athletics and for our friends in marathon running. Our security plan is developed jointly with the Metropolitan Police, and we were in contact with them as soon as we heard the news.
After 9/11, the government set up the Department of Homeland Security. Officials there gather and analyze information in an effort to ward off further attacks. In 2009, security agents found that a man about to board an airplane was hiding a bomb in his clothes. In 2010, investigators found explosives in a car in New York's Times Square. Recently, they've been monitoring individuals who engage in political and social protest. They warn that homegrown terrorists might be plotting an attack. They are already sorting through clues to find out who might be behind this one.